saying President Biden could use his time in the Virgin Islands to overhaul the territory's infrastructure, even as the U.S. struggles with nationwide energy shortages.
Neal Crabtree, former Keystone XL Pipeline worker, joins us. Neal, great to have you. There's speculation Biden is going to use this trip, like Ashley said, to push solar and to potentially fund solar in the Caribbean. Meantime, people are dead in upstate New York. We've mentioned that multiple times this week, thanks to a complete failure of government up there. We've just been talking about the Southwest debacle. Your reaction to Joe Biden's priorities?
Well, my reaction to his priorities is the same as it's been since he's taken office. It seems to, the rest of the world, they forget about their obligations and they come to the U.S. taxpayers looking for a bailout. And that's kind of what we got going on with the Virgin Islands. They had some hurricane damage there a few years ago, and the taxpayers have already spent, upwards of $2 billion rebuilding the infrastructure. And it wasn't just a few years ago that they switched over to a propane system. The Virgin Islands used to burn heating oil to produce their electricity. But what happened is they've stopped making their bond payments on the system, and they're looking for basically a handout. And they see what the administration wants to do with wind and solar, and basically they want their electrical grid changed for free.
Neal, I want to talk about this Wall Street Journal editorial board op-ed on the electrical grid emergency. It said the interconnected U.S. grid is supposed to be a source of resilience, but the government's force-fed green energy transition is creating systemic vulnerabilities that politicians don't want to acknowledge. Utilities and grid operators weren't prepared for the surge in demand for natural gas and electricity to heat homes, which occurred as gas supply shortages and icy temperatures forced many power plants off the line. So, is this just an indication of how the rest of the winter is going to look? Because winter just started and we've already seen a catastrophe.
Well, I don't believe it's just an indication how the rest of the winter is going to look. It's what our future's looking like. If we keep pushing and mandating these green energy policies, we've got, energy companies who want to spend the money to make the upgrades that they need, but they're being told if you don't do wind or you don't do solar, you're not going to do anything. And that's a dangerous situation to be in, because this country, the 70% of it still runs on oil and gas, and to neglect that infrastructure is going to put us in a dangerous place in the future.
As someone who knows the energy industry and knows how the grid system itself works, how close are we to a catastrophe whereby the grid may be offline for weeks, months at a time, during a time, let's say, during the heat of the summer or the cool of the winter, when, quite frankly, Americans aren't used to dealing with a problem like that?
I think we've seen, just here in the recent past, how actually, close we are. We've seen what happened in Texas just a few years ago during the winter. We see what happens in California almost every summer, and it's because of, we've got these private companies, but we've got too much government influence about what they can and what they can't do.
Do you think the administration is really just pushing this green energy too hard and too fast, and America cannot keep up with it, especially the grid system?
Well, I believe you're right about that. If they would let the public make up their own minds, if you want to put solar panels on your house, go ahead. If you want to buy an electric car, go ahead. But to mandate it and to force it is kind of what I believe is it's a dangerous situation, because we're not ready for it right now.
Aside from entirely letting the utilities do what they need to do, remove all governmental interference, can we do anything else to prevent a real emergency like this? Or do you fear it is inevitable if we continue going down this path?
Well, I think we dodged a real bullet this past hurricane season, because we've seen, how low our energy or oil inventory was. It wouldn't have taken a small hurricane to come into the Gulf of Mexico and really disrupt production. As bad as I hate to say it, I think we're looking at something like that happening in the future, near future.
That is petrifying, because let's face it, we are not tough right now as an American people, by and large. We're used to creature comforts, and to lose energy for a real long time, it's going to cause some major problems. Neal Crabtree, appreciate your honesty this morning. Thank you, sir.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.